being stuck in the 620s and plateauing in the 650s and finally hitting the 710, 730, my transformation had Marty written all over it. Here's how he helped me boost my score and amplify my psychology to a whole nother level. I first crossed paths with Marty in about 2019. I'd already sunk thousands of hours into the GMAT and was getting really frustrated with my progress because I kept plateauing at the 650 level. I knew there could have been some things I could improve, but I also knew that I sort of maxed out my knowledge. So there must have been something else at fault. Marty definitely saw things differently. In terms of pinpointing the issues, almost instantly Marty spotted two things. He felt I could get up my game with a more nuanced thinking for the verbal. He really thought I could increase the sophistication of my thinking. And secondly, he realized I had the knowledge already to score a 700 score, but that my anxiety and mindset were holding me back. When Marty first came to me, he was just some dude on GMAT Club and I had no idea who he was. Like, he wasn't affiliated with anyone and he was just working by himself. And when he said this thing about psychology, I thought, is this guy for real? Like, this guy's, I don't know, is he high or something? But then I saw that he had scored an 800 GMAT, and I also saw that he worked in asset management for many years and had worked with many people in healing them with ALS and other psychological issues. So I began to think, maybe this guy's onto something. Maybe, he can actually help me. And then I began to be more open-minded and come and like really take in everything he was saying to me. Given my intense work ethic and the knowledge I had accumulated in the GMAT, I knew there was a missing piece, and Marty had the solution to the puzzle I was trying to solve. He's not just any GMAT tutor. He has this incredible knack of pointing out blind spots, especially those rooted in psychology. He highlighted how I was letting anger define my responses to setbacks and to little questions that I was getting wrong. And he coached me on more constructive ways to deal with those reactions I would have. When he said I needed to be zen on test day, he wasn't just throwing around a buzzword. For example, with Marty, zen meant actively preparing and training your mind to be calm when you face certain responses that invoke anxiety, for example. And that can come in many ways, shapes, or forms that won't be universally applicable to everyone, which is why it requires coaching. Here was the cherry on top. Marty really shared strategies that made me think of the GMAT as a game and how to play that game properly to win. And it allowed me to become more programmatic with my methodology and gamify every step I was taking, resulting in me creating methods that would help me to achieve my score and get a perfect sentence correction score, for example. So that led to me working to create the streaks method, for example, and other systematic, more mathematically structured bases of approaching the GMAT. One thing that really did stand out, however, was Marty's communication. He was always open, would be there, anytime, would allow me to respond, send messages, and he'd be there, right up until test day and even before the day of the test and the time at which I took the test and afterwards. The investment that Marty made in me and that I took in really digesting his ways and his coaching allowed me to walk out on my final test day and hold my hand in victory. And I can tell you now that nothing can ever replace that feeling. It's one of the best highs you'll ever experience when you've worked at something for so long, and it's etched into my memory. There's no other feeling that will replicate it. You'll be growing, and taking on these methods that will help you not only in the GMAT, but in other forms of life. It's just a matter of being open and digesting everything that comes into play. Many test companies will tout that they have these methods and, will be able to help you with their psychology, but it really does take a curated approach, meaning someone needs to work with certain people to really understand who they are, how they react, and all the psychological nuances that go into the way that they're taking a test and perhaps the way that they're limiting themselves from achieving their dream, really. So if you're on the GMAT and you're struggling, you need help with things, and you're looking for that transformative, hands-on approach, just remember my story. Remember Marty. I think you'll be surprised with how far you'll grow, not only in your journey with the GMAT, but also in your sophistication in thinking in life and the way you react and your emotional intelligence in general.